There comes a moment in every person's life when the ordinary becomes unbearable. A time when the soul begins to rebel against mediocrity, against excuses, against delay. In that sacred moment, something begins to stir, a quiet, relentless hunger for more. Not more possessions, not more applause, but more becoming. That is where the journey of the high achiever begins. Not in a crowd, not with a cheer, but in solitude with a decision. A decision that says, I will not let this life pass me by without becoming who I was born to be. The difference between those who dream and those who do is not fate. It is mindset, and not just any mindset. It is a mindset built with intention, carved through challenge, and refined through vision. High achievers are not made in easy times. They are made when everything inside them wants to quit, but something deeper commands them to continue. They see the same circumstances others do, but they respond differently. Where others see a wall, they see a ladder. Where others stop, they step forward. Where others give in to fear, they take fear by the hand and keep walking anyway. They begin with a clear and definite purpose, a purpose that burns in their spirit like wildfire. It consumes their doubts, their distractions, and even their comfort. They do not casually want success. They are obsessed with the mission they've chosen. Every thought, every action, every heartbeat becomes aligned with that purpose. And when purpose meets belief, action is born. They believe in themselves, not blindly, not arrogantly, but fiercely. That belief becomes their fuel. They speak to themselves with power. They see what does not yet exist, and they claim it as if it already does. They do not beg the world for validation. They declare their value through action, and they reinforce it through discipline. Discipline, the trait that separates the curious from the committed. High achievers do not do what is easy. They do what is necessary. They wake up early not because it's trendy, but because it gives them control. They say no to temptation not because they're perfect, but because they've trained their mind to protect the greater goal. Discipline is their armor, and they wear it with pride. They understand the power of the mind, not just in theory, but in daily practice. They speak affirmations not as empty words, but as commands to their subconscious. They visualize with emotion. They plant seeds of greatness in their mind and water them every day with repetition and belief. The outside world may be uncertain, but their inner world is designed with precision. And because they control their mind, they control their outcomes. But even the strongest mind cannot thrive alone. High achievers surround themselves with other visionaries, people who challenge them, sharpen them, and expand their thinking. They do not seek comfort in company. They seek strength in alignment. They know that success is never a solo act. It is a chorus of minds in harmony, a collective force of will and imagination. They form alliances not based on convenience, but on purpose. They know who belongs in their circle and who does not. And yet, even with purpose, even with belief, even with discipline and a strong circle, there will be resistance. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is working. But here is the secret: high achievers are not immune to failure. They are just immune to surrender. Failure does not define them. It refines them. Every rejection, every delay, every closed door is just another brick in the foundation of their success. They do not ask, will I make it? They say, I will persist until I do. They do not wait for motivation. They rely on commitment. They do not need applause to stay on course. They clap for themselves in silence and let results do the talking. If you look around and see people doing less, dreaming small, living numb, don't be discouraged. Understand this: the mindset of high achievers is rare, but it is available to you. It is not inherited by birth. It is constructed by decision. Every day, every thought, every action is a brick in the house of your destiny. The only question is, will you build it? You have within you the same spark that lit the fire of every great thinker, builder, leader, and innovator this world has ever known. But that spark will not grow on its own. It must be protected. It must be nurtured. It must be given a mission, a purpose, a direction. And when that happens, when your thoughts and actions are no longer ruled by fear, but by focus, your results will shift. Your energy will change. And the world around you will begin to reflect the power within you. Do not chase success. Become the person who attracts it. Become the person whose mindset cannot be shaken, whose purpose cannot be bought, whose standards cannot be lowered. Train your mind. Discipline your thoughts. Persist through the silence. Surround yourself with winners. And never ever stop, because in the end, the world belongs not to the lucky, not to the loud, but to the relentless. Every extraordinary journey begins with a decision so powerful, it shakes the very core of an ordinary life. That decision is the choice to live with a definite purpose, driven by a burning desire that refuses to be silenced. High achievers don't live by chance or drift through days hoping things will change on their own. They know that without a clear purpose, even the most gifted mind remains unfocused, and talent without direction becomes wasted energy. Purpose gives life structure. It transforms ordinary moments into stepping stones. It injects meaning into your efforts and turns routine into ritual. But having a purpose is only the beginning. What gives it life, what makes it unshakable, is a burning desire so intense that it dominates your thinking, influences your choices, and propels you into action no matter the odds. It's not a wish. It's not a half-hearted goal scribbled in a notebook. It's a fire that fuels discipline, ignites persistence, and burns through every excuse. People with a burning desire don't need to be pushed. They are pulled by their vision. They don't sit around waiting for motivation. They live in a state of constant intention. Every failure becomes feedback, every delay a test of their hunger, and every challenge an invitation to rise higher. This kind of desire is not created by external rewards. It's born from within, when you decide deep in your soul that what you want is non-negotiable, that you are no longer available for mediocrity, that you are done with settling. And once that decision is made, the world begins to shift. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw problems. You begin taking bold steps instead of small, hesitant ones. And the universe, in its own mysterious way, starts to respond to your energy. Not because it owes you anything, but because your clarity and commitment have carved a path too powerful to ignore. Those who rise, those who break boundaries and change the game, they all started with a definite purpose and fueled it daily with a burning desire that no obstacle could kill. When your purpose is clear and your desire is strong, you become unstoppable. You stop needing guarantees, and you start demanding results through your effort, your mindset, and your persistence. You don't wait for the perfect moment, you create it. Faith is not simply a matter of belief. True faith is a force. It is the inner certainty that what you desire is not only possible, but inevitable if you are willing to move toward it. Faith is the quiet power that allows you to step forward when logic says wait, when fear says stop, and when the world says it can't be done. But faith, in its purest form, demands action. Because without action, faith is nothing more than a wish. It becomes hollow, a fragile idea floating in your mind instead of a powerful force driving your reality. The greatest dreams collapse not from lack of potential, but from lack of action behind the belief. The most successful people in the world do not merely sit around visualizing success. They take the vision and breathe life into it through consistent, bold steps. Faith backed by action means that you are willing to move even when the road is unclear. It means trusting that every small, imperfect step matters. It means showing up every day with the energy of someone who already believes their success is in motion. When your actions reflect your belief, you generate momentum, and that momentum creates results. It's not about waiting for everything to be ready. It's about moving with such conviction that the world starts to adjust to your frequency. That's what separates those who try from those who triumph. Action without belief leads to burnout. You move, but with doubt and hesitation. On the other hand, belief without action leads to frustration. You dream big, but never see the change you want. The magic happens when faith and action meet. When your mind is anchored in belief and your hands are working with determination, your life begins to shift. You no longer depend on motivation or outside encouragement. You are driven from within, powered by a clear inner voice that says, keep going. Every person who has achieved greatness has done so by first believing it was possible, then proving that belief through action. They failed, but kept acting. They were doubted, but kept building. And with each action, their faith grew stronger. Faith does not require that you have all the answers. It only asks that you take the next step, trusting that more will be revealed as you move forward. And over time, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Self-discipline is the silent engine behind every meaningful success story. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, it doesn't make headlines, but it is the daily decision to honor your goals even when the mood is gone. Relentless self-discipline means you move forward regardless of how you feel. While the world is waiting for motivation, for signs, for the perfect moment, you act. You take ownership of your time, your energy, your habits, and your emotions. You become the commander of your own life, not a victim of circumstance or feeling. Those who achieve at the highest levels are not always the most talented or gifted, but they are consistent. They train their minds and bodies to do what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable. They don't negotiate with laziness, distraction, or fear. They don't need to be in the mood to follow through. Discipline becomes their identity. They make decisions based on purpose, not on pleasure. And every time they choose discipline over indulgence, they strengthen their character, sharpen their focus, and build the kind of inner strength that can't be shaken by temporary setbacks. Relentless self-discipline is the act of doing the right thing, especially when no one is watching. It's waking up early because you said you would. It's putting in the extra work when others have already given up. It's saying no to temporary pleasure to protect long-term vision. This is not about punishment, it's about power. When you discipline yourself, you don't become smaller, you become stronger. You gain control over the one thing in life you truly own yourself. Without discipline, dreams remain fantasies. Goals remain on paper. Time slips away. But with it, even the most impossible vision becomes achievable. High achievers live with rules they set for themselves, not out of rigidity, but out of respect for their potential. They know that the more structure they create, the more freedom they gain. They don't live at the mercy of distractions or temptations because they've trained themselves to value their future more than their impulses. And yes, discipline is uncomfortable. There are moments when it feels isolating, when the path seems thankless, when shortcuts look tempting. But those moments are exactly where greatness is born. The difference between those who rise and those who regret is often just one decision made repeatedly. The decision to stay the course when it would be easier to quit. The subconscious mind is the most powerful force within you, silently shaping your actions, beliefs, and results without needing your permission. It is always active, always receiving, always creating. Whether you're aware of it or not, it is constantly recording your thoughts, your words, your emotional states, and it builds patterns from them. These patterns become habits. These habits become your behavior, and your behavior becomes your destiny. Mastering the subconscious mind is not a luxury for the elite. It is a necessity for anyone who wants to rise above average and live a life of purpose and fulfillment. High achievers know that what you plant in the subconscious eventually grows in the physical world. They do not allow fear, doubt, or limitation to live rent-free in their mind. Instead, they train their inner world with intention. They speak words of conviction. They feed their minds with empowering thoughts, images, and affirmations until those thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs begin to shape their actions. They don't wait for their environment to change their thinking. They change their thinking to reshape their environment. You cannot outperform your internal blueprint. If your subconscious is filled with beliefs of lack, fear, or unworthiness, then no matter how hard you work, you will sabotage your progress. That's why reprogramming the subconscious is not just useful, it's essential. This is done through repetition, visualization, emotional intensity, and focused attention. What you repeat with emotion sinks deep into your subconscious. That's why high achievers constantly visualize their goals. They see the success before it becomes real. They affirm their worth, their capabilities, and their vision until it feels like truth. And eventually, it becomes truth. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between fact and fiction. It responds to whatever it is fed consistently. Feed it doubt, and it will find reasons to hold you back. Feed it faith, and it will unlock energy, courage, and creativity you didn't even know you had. This is why guarding your inner dialogue is one of the most important disciplines you can develop. The words you speak about yourself, the images you hold in your mind, and the stories you replay daily, they are not harmless. They are instructions to your subconscious. And your subconscious will act on those instructions whether they help you or hurt you. True mastery comes when you can command your internal state regardless of external conditions. When you no longer wait for validation or results to feel confident, but you choose confidence from within, knowing your subconscious is already aligned with your highest goals. You no longer second guess your steps, because your inner belief is so strong that doubt loses its grip. You move with calm certainty, not because life is easy, but because your mind is trained to find the way forward, no matter what. So if you want to change your results, don't just change your habits. Change the mind that creates those habits. Become intentional about what you feed your subconscious. Be aware of your inner conversations. Replace fear with faith, worry with focus, and hesitation with bold intention. Because once you master your subconscious mind, you don't just change your life. You redesign your future, and that is the real foundation of unstoppable success. Success is never a solo act. No matter how strong, disciplined, or intelligent a person may be, there comes a point where the limitations of one mind, one set of experiences, and one perspective begin to show. That is why those who achieve extraordinary results understand and utilize the power of a mastermind alliance. It is not merely about teamwork. It's about alignment of purpose, a fusion of focused minds working in harmony toward a common goal. When two or more people come together with clarity, trust, and shared intention, something remarkable happens. A new energy is born, ideas expand, solutions multiply, and limitations begin to dissolve. A true mastermind alliance goes far beyond casual friendships or professional networking. It is a sacred bond between individuals who are committed to growth, to mutual upliftment, and to the relentless pursuit of excellence. Each member brings their own strengths, their own insights, and their own perspectives, but all are aligned by a higher purpose. Ego has no place here. This is not about dominance. It is about synergy, the exponential expansion that occurs when minds unite for something greater than themselves. Those who operate within a mastermind alliance have an edge the world cannot see, but will eventually feel through their results. They make faster decisions because they can access collective wisdom. They rebound from failure quicker because they have support systems in place. They grow in confidence because they are surrounded by people who remind them of their potential when they forget it themselves. Ideas that once seemed too big suddenly feel achievable. Dreams that felt distant now have structure, feedback, and direction. The energy within a true mastermind is magnetic. It sharpens thought, strengthens discipline, and demands accountability. There is no room for complacency when others are watching, expecting, and believing in your highest potential. It is within this alliance that growth is accelerated, not just professionally, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You begin to think bigger because the group challenges your limitations. You begin to act bolder because others are walking beside you with equal intensity. But the power of the mastermind is not automatic. It requires intention. You must choose your alliance wisely. Not everyone qualifies. The people you align with must value integrity, ambition, and continuous growth. They must lift you, not drain you. They must challenge you, not enable your excuses. In return, you must bring the same value to them. It is a mutual exchange of energy, encouragement, and execution. When you are part of a true mastermind, you are no longer walking blindly through the path of success. You are guided, supported, and elevated. The challenges don't disappear, but the weight becomes easier to carry. The wins become more joyful to share, and the journey becomes richer, deeper, and far more meaningful. If you want to accelerate your success, if you want to multiply your momentum, and if you want to evolve beyond what you can do alone, then build or join a mastermind alliance. Connect with minds that spark something within you. Align with those who are committed to their growth as fiercely as you are. protect the unity, nourish the trust, and pour into that circle with everything you've got. Failure is not the end. It is a mirror. It reflects who you truly are when things don't go your way. Most people retreat the moment they meet resistance. They interpret failure as a sign to stop, to give up, to shrink their dreams into something safer and more comfortable. But those who rise to greatness understand a deeper truth. Failure is not a wall, it's a door. And persistence is the key that unlocks it. Persistence beyond failure means continuing even when you've lost, when you've been embarrassed, when nothing seems to be working. It means deciding again and again that your vision matters more than your setbacks. The journey to any meaningful goal is never a straight line. It's filled with detours, delays, and disappointments. But those who succeed do not allow failure to define them. They allow it to refine them. Every obstacle becomes a teacher. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every setback is simply feedback on the way forward. True persistence isn't about brute force. It's about intelligent, consistent effort. It's about adjusting your strategy while never losing sight of your mission. It's waking up on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's working in silence when no one is clapping. It's making one more phone call, writing one more page, taking one more step. Again and again, without guarantee, without applause, without certainty of success, because you know deep down that the only way to truly fail is to quit. What separates high achievers from the rest is not that they never fail. It's that they refuse to stay down. They see failure not as something to fear, but as part of the process of mastery. They do not avoid it, they embrace it. They don't make it personal. They don't let it break their spirit. Instead, they let it sharpen their focus, fuel their hunger, and solidify their resolve. Persistence requires faith in the unseen. It means trusting that your consistent action will one day lead to results, even if you don't see them today. It's a kind of inner toughness, a quiet rebellion against the voice in your head that says, maybe this isn't for you. Persistence answers that voice with action. It speaks not in words, but in commitment. The truth is, every great breakthrough was once just another failure that someone refused to quit on. History is filled with stories of people who were told they weren't good enough, smart enough, or lucky enough, and who chose to keep going anyway. That is the power of persistence beyond failure. It's not about being the most talented. It's about being the most relentless. Success is never an accident. It is the result of a clear mind, a focused will, and the disciplined pursuit of a worthy goal. What you've just heard is not just a collection of motivational phrases. It is a blueprint for transformation. High achievers are not born different. They simply choose different. They choose to live with a definite purpose backed by a burning desire. They act with unshakable faith, not just in thought, but in action. They practice relentless self-discipline, mastering not only their time but also their emotions. They shape their reality by mastering the subconscious mind, understanding that every thought becomes a brick in the foundation of their future. They align with powerful alliances, knowing the strength of a mastermind multiplies momentum. And above all, they persist beyond failure, beyond fatigue, and beyond fear, because they know that the only true defeat is giving up. This mindset is not reserved for a select few. It is available to anyone willing to commit, to grow, and to act. The moment you decide to think differently, you begin to live differently. You begin to attract different results. You begin to embody the identity of someone who does not settle, someone who builds, leads, and leaves a legacy. Let this message be more than inspiration. Let it be a call to action. Take the ideas you've absorbed and turn them into habits. Let your thoughts be intentional. Let your actions be deliberate. And let your life be a living example of what happens when a mind is fixed on purpose, backed by belief, and guided by unwavering persistence. Your journey to greatness begins with one decision to no longer live by default, but by design. The power is in your hands. Now it's time to use it.